All right.
Okay, this house existing had a single gang box here for a switch for the dining room chandelier, which we just hung a new one in. That came out today. So we're adding a couple of wall sconces on the wall here. So we had to change that to a 2-gang. We ran our new wire through the wall, out to this side, through the corner. Oh, careful. And then through this hole, through that hole, and up to our first sconce, and then looped over to our next sconce. So now we're at the point where we're ready to patch. So what we did here, this has got a little number 2 on it, and this got a little number 2 on it, so we know which piece goes where. And if you notice how these holes have been cut, they've all been at an angle inside like you would cut the top of a pumpkin. So that all we have to do is slap a little mud on it. I would use 20-minute mud for the first coat if we needed to be out of here in one day, but we don't. We're coming back here tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and use this stuff for the whole project. Nice. Good thing we have drop cloths. Okay. So now let me have that piece. Get that out of there. Make sure we get all the drywall off the seam. Then we put a little mud on all 4 edges. And then we put our piece back in. And it is ready to go. Give me the bigger blade. These pieces of painter's tape were here to identify where the studs were in the wall before we made our holes. And we do that with a magnet. Go ahead and throw your magnet on there somewhere and show them how that works.
Once if I know what to do, okay. There's too many things now. And it's sticking to all my tools.
Of course it is.
All right.
So once we find, you just keep moving it. Every 6 or 8 inches, you're going to have another nail that's holding the drywall on. So we put the little blue tape on there to identify where our studs are before we start cutting holes. And then once we're done, we can take all this off. Now we're ready for another thin coat right on top of this. So we always want to push in on the blade so that it concaves a little bit. You want this lower than flush so that we don't have to sand anything tomorrow. We just put another coat on. There's no sanding to do. And then we roll on to the next one. Same procedure. And a lot of guys will leave the holes for the customer to deal with. So this is a lot nicer. This, if you notice here, the bumpy texture, we're not going to do that. We're going to let the painter do that. We're going to wind up with a white, smooth patch. And that's it. So no bugs come through, no dust comes through. Customer's ready to go. But we don't take it to finish.
Right. And they're not left with a hole in their wall.
What's that?
They're not left with a hole in their wall.
Correct.